Hey, it's David Duford here at davidduford.com, home of the best insurance sales training you've ever seen. And today we are talking about when your client can't find his or her policy. What do you do? This request topic came in from an agent who's a subscriber on my YouTube channel. And I think it's a pretty good topic to talk about because a lot of the business that we're going to make and going to close in the insurance business, no matter if you're selling life insurance, Medicare supplements, mortgage protection, or annuities, you got to see what you got in front of you. What does the client currently have? And always doing some kind of policy review is going to yield more results in closing a higher percentage of your appointments into sales. So I've got 6 steps here to kind of help you through this process in order to identify what you can do to get the policy and the information within it that will help you seal the deal. So the first thing is you may be asking too early. One thing I don't do when I present, when I'm doing final expense sales, is ask the policy to be presented to me at the very beginning of the presentation. I want enough time to pass that I've built rapport, trust, and have made a connection with my client before I ask them to go get the policy. So maybe I'll ask midstream in the pre-qualification section as I begin to ask them what kind of life insurance do they currently have, and then begin to follow up with questions. Sometimes I don't. It's kind of a feel it out type of thing. It's hard to define specifically, but it is something you want to ask before you get too far into the sales call, because you need to acquire the information on what they currently have to see if it's worth the time spending to pitch, if they're a high odds prospect or not. Number 2 here is ask follow-up questions to craft a better understanding. So this is something that I kind of just started doing years ago. I didn't really learn this from anybody, but this is kind of a multi-step process to help you get the information and start to create momentum to eventually get the policy. So I always ask the question, what are you doing currently for your life insurance coverage? So this is an assumptive question, and I'll either get a, well, I've got so-and-so company, or they'll say, oh, I don't have anything. Either way, that starts the steps towards the right direction in order to possibly ascertain what the client has as far as his insurance goes. Now, sometimes people will claim, oh, yeah, I've got some company, I don't remember it, and the policy, it's in the back underneath a bunch of junk, and I don't really feel like getting it. What do? You still need that information because it might be useful in closing the deal. So one thing you need to do is always ask for a bank statement, all right? Bank statements, most of our clients still receive paper bank statements. If not, they can pull them off the internet if they got internet access to their bank account. It will tell you what company and the name of the company is and the date it's coming out. So if they don't know or don't want to get their policy, ask, hey, do you mind grabbing your bank statement? We can figure out what the company is and then what the price is, if you've asked about that at this point and they haven't really remembered exactly what that budget is. So get the bank statement, and it will help progress the conversation forward to collect all the information necessary. Then what I like to do sometimes is if they don't have a bank statement handy, and they are interested but they don't know where the policy is start to rattle off names. So one thing I like to do is I like to ask, so did you buy this policy through an agent or through the mail? That segment's about 50-50, where I'll know if they bought it through the mail, based on their answer, that they probably got a Colonial Penn, AARP, Globe, True Stage, some sort of junk mail or TV insurance company. And then I can go to work whittling down based on the price, if it's really low and a lot of coverage, that maybe they've got term insurance, or if it seems like a whole life price product, that it is probably a 2-year waiting period product. And then and then also I can start rattling names off of the most common independent companies, and there's not a lot of them that are sold, and you'll begin to eventually identify what company it is. Again, why do we do this? I can't help but to stress the reason we do this is because let's say we deal with somebody who has COPD, okay, and you find out they're paying what seems to be like whole life rates, and they bought it through an agent. And I rattle through a bunch of companies, and I find out their coverage is through Gerber. Well, I know that this is a 2-year waiting period policy by default, okay? Or I know that, let's say, Foresters does not do first day full coverage for COPD. So I now have a competitive angle to try to position myself when the time comes about why my product is superior to theirs. Okay, so again, this is pre-qualifying. This is fact-finding. We're developing our case basically through investigation and discernment. And then worst case scenario, if they don't have the bank draft form or the bank statement, call the bank. They should know where they bank after all, and you can pull up the number of the local branch on your smartphone. Some companies will give you that information over the phone. Others won't. So maybe you call in and ask the bank teller, hey, I'm trying to figure out the name of my insurance company. Can you please tell me what automatic bank draft that you've got set up? And then they'll begin to look through this and recognize certain names as being insurance companies because they've done this before. It's not their first time. So call the bank up if all else fails. And last but not least, take control of the call and call the insurance company that you think it is. Or maybe you've established this information, but again, you don't know the specifics of the policy. So when you call an insurance company, first of all, always ask for customer support. Most will not give you grief if you call on behalf of the client. They'll first express or want to have permission from the client, give some information to then talk to you. Now, the critical thing here, guys, is when you're talking to the company, this is the most opportune situation to sell the client. Here's what I mean. Nothing sells better than the facts, in my opinion, okay? So, for example, that's why I like using my competition's brochures from AARP and Globe Life and showing the client that there's a 2-year wait or the rates go up every 5 years or it cancels at 80. You know, I'm just a salesperson, but now I've elevated myself to an advisor by showing proof and not just making a claim, which may be baseless in the mind of the prospect. So by putting this phone on speaker and asking specific questions from a representative from the life insurance company, you're going to get the most critical information. And in many cases, the person decides at that point that they don't want that plan because of what's shared with them over the phone that they were not disclosed to when they originally took the plan out. So I like to ask questions like, okay, Mrs. Jones, or Mr. Customer Service Rep. So Mrs. Jones, I want to confirm, is this a whole life or term life insurance plan? What is the monthly premium? How much coverage does she have? Is she covered for natural death today? If not, when will natural death start to be covered for? And again, all of this stuff is playing. I'm writing notes down, and she's listening intently. And what's the cash value sometimes is a useful question to ask too, but the first questions I just ask are the most important. Bottom line, these are the tactics that I use when I cannot put my hands on a policy. Whether you need to, there's all sorts of ways to get the information to kind of arrive at it from a different angle. Again, just to reiterate here, don't ask too early. That may off-put a client who claims they don't know where it is, but are too lazy to get it or just don't trust you yet. Make sure that you ask good questions that incite curiosity and perhaps even a little urgency that maybe their policy isn't the best option. And then make sure that you get a bank statement if available. Call the bank if you can't get the bank statement. Rattle off a bunch of names, figuring out if it was bought through the mail or bought with an agent face-to-face. And last but not least, when you have at least a company name, always call the company. Gather the information and make sure you put it on speakerphone so your client can hear. Because the goal here, ladies and gentlemen, is to improve the insurance situation your client is in. Many insurance agents out there, I know none of you out there, do not inform fully what their clients are getting into. They don't understand how the coverage works. It's not explained well. Or maybe they were just confused and the insurance agent didn't do a good job of explaining it. Either way, our job, especially for us as independent agents, is to provide an opportunity for our clients to maximize the value of coverage that they receive while also getting the most competitive rate possible. So you're in a prime position to do this. Some of the best insurance agents who write a lot of business are replacing 1 out of 3 policies as their total volume, even more than that. That tells you how much junk in insurance is out there and what you could do to make a dramatic and huge difference in the lives of your clients. So I hope this training treats you well. If you'd like more about how you and I could work together and learn how to join my insurance agency, go to davidduford.com. Click the Join David's Insurance link, and agency link at the top. That's where it is. And then I also do things like seminar marketing programs to help you learn how to prospect for final expense. as well as a insurance agent inner circle program for regular ongoing content to help you understand selling insurance better. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share this if you haven't already. And please feel free to leave questions in the comments below. Dave Duford, davidduford.com. Log off. Take care.